Well, hello and welcome back to Read Becca for another weekly catch-up on all my reading, everything I've read, everything I'm currently reading, and everything I'm looking forward to reading. I don't think I've filmed a weekend update in this location in a while, and I've been doing a lot of vlogging from here, so this is my reading chair. So I've been doing shorter updates. This is a little bit longer. We'll see if I can do it without it being too shaky cam, but it's going to be hopefully a very short update. I don't have a ton to talk about. And I don't want to have to edit this. So let's talk about what I read. I did finish two things, but I'm not going to talk very much about them. So the first one is My Fourth Time We Drowned by Sally Hayden. And this is journalistic nonfiction that I'm reading for the BookTube Prize. So I can't talk about it yet, but I did finish it. This is my third BookTube Prize book. And this one is coming from Sally's perspective as a journalist who prior in her career had published a lot of articles that were very sympathetic to the plight of refugees and asylum seekers. And as a result, people found her online, and all these refugees in Libyan detention centers began reaching out to her to try and get across their story over, I guess, the 2010s for the most part, really, but years going by, basically. So they weren't necessarily looking for direct help from her, but to get their story out and hopefully make change. So we get a litany of those stories of detention center experiences in Libya. We see Sally digging into this as a larger story, looking at the politics and kind of trying to make the human face apparent along with the policies that have affected that, and the politics locally, war happening in Libya and the instability that has really led to this, as well as in Europe, where they're trying to seek refuge in Europe and getting sort of pushed back based on political policies there. So that's, I think, about all I'm going to say. You will get my thoughts later when the vlog comes out in early August. Of course, we couldn't get through this without Rue yelling his head off, so hopefully that's edited out. I then read a novella, The Crane Husband by Kelly Barnhill. It is my first book from Kelly Barnhill, and it's just a short novella. But Barnhill has a number of prior works and is very well known and awarded for children's work. So this is an adult novella, and it is based on the Crane Wife folktale. In that folktale, it's the story of a man who marries a crane wife, and she weaves him things that make him richer, basically, and he gets greedy, is never satisfied with what she's doing, and so like he overdoes it and loses her, right? So there are elements of that, but it's very different from that, other than that the woman in this story is a weaver, or the woman and mother, I would say, is a weaver. It's in a fairly contemporary setting, but with some slight futuristic elements. They're not really integral to the story, though. And it's told actually from her daughter's perspective. So this daughter is experiencing her mom, who is increasingly irresponsible, has brought this crane husband, this crane, into their lives, who she wants them to call father, and who is an ominous presence in their home. And she's having memories of her own father and how caring and loving he was. And this daughter is always having to be sort of the responsible one in the house. So I will have a full vlog of that. It'll be very short, though, but it only took me a couple of hours to read, so I did a book in the day vlog, and you'll get that in the next couple of days. I just have to combine clips. So you'll get all my thoughts, but I did like it very much, and it made me want to read some more from Barnhill. So I will definitely be doing that sometime soon. And then, so that was what I finished entirely this week. It was not a heavy reading week this week. Then I did pick up, after I finished up my previous BookTube Prize book, I just picked up my next one. This is Half American by Matthew F. Delmont. And this is all talking about the Black soldiers in World War II and the treatment of them and mistreatment of them and conflict throughout the US over that. So I'm halfway through that one actually at this point, which is great. I did not read that much though, so I am a little bit behind. I read not well this week. I think I maybe read 50, 60 pages of that physically and like 2 hours of audio entirely over the course of the weekdays, even though I had a day off on not New Year's. I want to say New Year's, 4th of July. That is the holiday. And then Terraformers, I'm through like 65%. I think there's 3 separate parts that are each kind of different times and different stories. And I got almost through part 2. And I lost the audiobook, which I was mainly reading this through. So there was one person waiting on hold, so I will get it back next. I'm already back in the hold line. And I think I'm going to wait for the audio because I just have so much other stuff going on. If I do finish something else, I will pick this up in print, but I don't think I will. So anyway, as a result of losing this on audio, I moved to my next Book 2 prize book that I do have available on audio from Libby and grabbed the Facemaker, which I'll put a picture of here. So that one is another war book about disfigurement of soldiers during World War I and the pioneering of plastic surgery. So I made some progress on that finally yesterday because I needed something for audio. So that is all my reading really. The other currently reading stuff that's in progress, I have not really made any progress since I last checked in, so no point in updating on it. So that's about it for book stuff. So it was not a great reading week. It was an okay watching week. I watched the entirety of Amazing Race season 33. I don't know what order this season actually falls in, but this is the newest season out. It was just added to a streaming service that I have, and it's the season that was paused by the lockdown. So they got a couple of legs in to the race and stopped for 1.5 years, basically. And I'm pretty sure the previous season, so season 32, I think that was after things had opened back up entirely. So I don't know if they had some complications with getting this one together. But for whatever reason, this one just now finally came out. So I really enjoyed it. I think they did a great job they made a lot of accommodations and changed how things worked pretty significantly for this one, like chartering things for the people after they returned 1.5 years after lockdown. They set things up so like we aren't seeing any of the flights, like they're not having to book things and get on the flights because everybody's on the same flight. They are holding them at the location and kind of staggering how they leave from their next location when they get there. So they did some adjustments, and I think they did a really, really good job. So that I love Amazing Race. It's such a great show that has, looking back at some of the older seasons, if you've been around here, you remember I rewatched all of the old Amazing Race last year, I think, like 30 seasons of it, or all of the seasons that were available to stream, which was not every season, but I watched a lot of them. And you could see so much more negativity and like just rude behavior early seasons, and as it's progressed, they've definitely toned that down, and people are a lot more respectful and friendly in the competition, definitely. So I think they've done a good job of that in the more recent seasons. Yeah. So I think that's it for everything I watched. And as far as the week was a disaster week. I can't remember exactly what I said last week, but I know I mentioned that like physically I was not doing really well and having some really bad back pain, and had been feeling quite a bit better the day I last updated you all. And I think it was that night actually was like so much worse. It was horrible. Literally, I packed a go bag and put it by the door in case I needed to go to the hospital. Yeah, it was really bad. So the next day was still not great, but I got things really turning around, and it was a slow uphill to get to feeling better over the course of the week. I think by Tuesday I was still not great, but I had, breaks of feeling better to where I did go out for a short while on the 4th, to go do some, fun stuff. And I haven't celebrated Independence Day at all for the past several years for fairly obvious reasons, but it was with mixed feelings. I went out. It was very hot, so for that reason also I didn't go out for very long. And otherwise it remained a very low-key week in terms of doing stuff. In terms of work, chaos week. It has been horrible chaos. So I had very long days of work, but kind of just getting up and moving around and trying to take care of myself throughout the day as best I could through 12-14 hour days most days. So that has all really, the chaos and disaster week has contributed to everything this week. So I just don't even want to talk about it, but I am fine right now. Actually yesterday, most of the day, and all day today so far, physically I'm feeling 100%. Energy is a little low, but I'm feeling very good. So I'm hopefully pain-free and done. Yeah, it was scary and not great. Otherwise, really nothing going on. I think that's almost everything that I have to say. So short one for once. My one recommendation this week is kind of a couple weeks old because I've just been only watching a few things and trying to catch up on old videos, but I would like to recommend Shelley Swearingen's video discussing what she likes about book prizes. I personally agreed with all the stuff that she highlighted that are her favorite things, especially kind of the period during book prizes that most excites her. I totally agreed with that. And the theory crafting that goes on in BookTube, in the community, and the excitement that builds over discussing projections and theoreticals over what could happen, what could be on a long list, what's gonna make it into the short list, and who could win and why, is so fun. And I almost like that more than seeing who wins, is all of the discussion surrounding it. Definitely since I've gotten involved both as a viewer and a channel on BookTube, that's really ramped up. I wasn't anywhere near as involved in book prizes. And so as a result of that, the second thing I would like to point out is that the Hugo Awards list was announced this week. There has been a lot of interesting stuff coming up about that because it was delayed. There were worries. There was a false start where they put out a list that wasn't quite right as a test, and then they did put out the final list this week. So we have the Hugo list, and it is very interesting because if you have followed me for a while, I did a big push for reading stuff that might be eligible earlier this year. And so I've read actually most of the novels and novellas that are on the list. I've read all the novellas actually. I've only got 2 novels left to read, so both of them were already on my radar, and one specifically I think I'm gonna like very much. So yeah, that is actually great for me. Usually I have a lot more to read for the Hugos, so I will be reading those 2 that I've missed out on, and I will link the info down below as well for the prize list. So I think that's it. This has been very chaos rambly, but that's my update for the week. Hopefully everyone else had a great and safe week, and it was better than mine. And I'm very much looking forward to a nap this afternoon and a quiet week next week. Fingers crossed. Thank you all so much for joining me today.